Good morning, dear students. Today I'm going to explain Unit 11 of Hello 6 for the second term. This unit is called Amazing People. And now let's start by reading some useful texts which will appear in your textbooks about some people and their experience with sports. Mahmoud Muhammad Yusuf was a champion in Kung Fu and won many medals in the sport at secondary school. After a terrible car accident, he now has a disability, which means he has to use a wheelchair. Mahmoud cannot walk again, but that has not stopped his love of sport. He decided to practice a sport which you can play in a wheelchair, and he became very good at wheelchair tennis. He has competed in many international wheelchair tennis competitions and became one of the best wheelchair tennis players in Egypt. That is an amazing achievement, but Mahmoud has not stopped there. He also helps people who are in wheelchairs to stay fit and gives talks to help other people with disabilities. And now let's move to the second text. Amani Ali is an Egyptian Paralympic powerlifter who won a bronze medal in the 2016 Paralympic Games in Brazil in 2016. Amani had an illness called polio. Polio means something like paralysis, which comes to little children and causes one of their feet or two of them cannot move. Polio when she was younger, and this affected the muscles in her feet, as I said. She did not start powerlifting until she was 20. Although she has always loved the sport, she achieved her Paralympic success in Brazil aged 40. And at a very difficult time, her father died 2 days before the competition. So she wanted to win the medal for him. She also came fourth in the London Paralympic Games in 2012. By the way, Paralympic means Olympics for the paralyzed people, people who cannot move their limbs. Now let's move to Tanny Gray Thompson. Tanny Gray Thompson is a British Paralympian wheelchair racer who has a medical condition called spina bifida. She is unable to walk, so she uses a wheelchair to get around. Tanny first competed in the 400 meters and wheelchair basketball at the Paralympics in Seoul in 1988. Tanny won 16 Paralympic medals in athletics events from the 100 meters up to the 800 meters, including 11 gold medals. Since she retired from athletics in 2004, Tanny has worked for many different organizations which help people, especially disabled people and women, to enjoy the benefits of sports. And now, after finishing our text, I'm going to do some vocabulary exercise with you. The first one says match the meaning of these words, then check in a dictionary. The words on the left are achieve, achievement, compete, kung fu, medal, muscle, powerlifting, wheelchair. I'm going to give you 1 minute to try to get the answers, then I'm going to do it with you. Let me read the answers on the right hand side or the right column. A, something good that you have done successfully. B, a sport where people lift weights above their heads. C, something inside your body that you use to move. D, take part in a race or a competition. E, a chair with wheels used by someone who can't walk. F, be successful in doing something good. G, a Chinese sport which involves fighting with your hands and feet. H, a metal disc that you can win when you do or play a sport. So, let me give you 1 minute in order to think. Number 2, achievement goes with, yes, I can hear you. Something good that you have done successfully. Something good that you have done successfully. Number 3, compete. Yes, goes with number D. Take part in a race or a competition. Kung Fu, number 4, goes with, yes, I can hear you. Goes with G, a Chinese sport which involves fighting with your hands and feet. 5, medal, yes, medal, goes with H, a metal disc that you can win when you do or play a sport. 6, muscle, goes with C, something inside your body that you use to move. Something inside your body that you use to move. Number 7, powerlifting, goes with B, a sport where people lift weights above their heads. A sport where people lift weights above their heads. Number 8, wheelchair, goes with E, a chair with wheels used by someone who can't walk. Now, let's move to another exercise. This exercise asks us to fill in the spaces with one of the following 4 words. They are written in the blueprint. I'm going to read them first and give you time to think about the answers. Activist, campaign, highs and lows, ramp. Activist, campaign, highs and lows, ramp. Take your time, please. Yes, I'm going to start with you. Number 1, the highs and lows of something refer to successful and unsuccessful times. The highs and lows. Yes, perfect. Number 2, to campaign is to work in an organized way to change things. To campaign is to work in an organized way to change things. Number 3, a ramp is a sloping surface joining 2 places of different levels. A ramp is a sloping surface joining 2 places of different levels. Number 4, an activist is someone who tries to change things. So I'm going to read them again. Number 1, the highs and lows. Number 2, to campaign. Number 3, a ramp. Number 4, an activist. And now, let's move together to another exercise. But this time, we're going to fill in the gaps into a paragraph. And this is the sort of question you're going to find in your final exam. The first word is achieve. The second one is compete, disability, medals, muscles, wheelchairs. Now I'd like you to think of the answers which you are going to fill in according to the numbers in the passages. Wheelchair tennis. Some amazing athletes means people who do sports, compete in different sports even when they have a disability. Some play tennis in wheelchairs. The playing area is the same as for other tennis competitions, but the players need to have strong muscles in their arms to move around and to hit the ball The best players enter the Paralympic Games, but few achieve as much success as Ether Vergeer, who is from the Netherlands, which is Holland, of course. She won 4 gold medals between 2000 and 2012. The next exercise, and this one I think is repeated. Well, never mind, you can do it again to test yourself. Let's move to the grammar section, which is the relative clauses. The relative clauses, or the relative pronouns, we know them, all of us, of course. They are words which link 2 sentences together to avoid repetition. We can use who, which, where, when, whose, what, in order to avoid repetition, as I said. Now let's start with defining relative clauses. And this definition will make us understand what does it mean by defining relative clauses. Defining relative clauses give us important or necessary information about people, things, or places. They tell us about the person, thing, or place. For example, the man who or that lives next door is a teacher. So this is an important information we got about the man, that he is a teacher. This is the photo which or that shows our school. This is the photo which or that shows our school. We noticed that we can use that instead of who or which. The town where I was born is in the south of Egypt. But notice I can replace where by which if I added the preposition in, on, or at. So it will be the town which I was born in is in the south of Egypt. Take care. Look at the notes on the right hand side. In formal written English, whom can be used instead of who after prepositions in sentences like this. Whom, the relative pronoun whom, can replace who, by the way, if we add a preposition to it. The prepositions are from, by, with, for, and about. The example says, the person from whom I received the letter is the manager of the company. And I can say, the person whom I received the letter from is the manager of the company. Let's move to the next point. Use who in informal English like this. The person who I received the letter from is the manager of the company. So who can replace whom, but it's preferable with prepositions to use whom only. Next point says, defining relative clauses, don't use commas around the clause, which is a very important notice, by the way. Look here at the example again. The man who or that lives next door is a teacher. We didn't find any commas separating the 2 clauses from each other. The first clause, which is the man, and the second one, who lives next door. It's not separated by a comma. That's why we called it a defining relative clause. It adds an important and necessary information which is not separated by commas. Let me move now to the non-defining relative clauses. The non-defining relative clauses. By non-defining relative clauses, we mean we put extra information about a person or a thing. It's not necessary. It's not main information. Omar, comma, who is an activist, comma, lives next door. So the clause who is an activist is separated by commas. It's not necessary information, it's an extra piece of information. This photo, which I took, shows our school. Of course, the sentence can read without which I took. This photo shows our school. So the clause which I took is separated by commas because it is an undefined relative clause. It adds extra information. Aswan, which is in the south of Egypt, is where I was born. Which is in the south of Egypt is an undefined relative clause and it is separated by commas. In non-defining relative clauses, use commas around the clause as I said. And now let's move to a very important table which has common errors. Correct sentence is London, which is the capital of Britain, is in the south of England. Incorrect is London, who is the capital of Britain, is in the south of England. We cannot use who with the place, of course. Hatim's uncle, who is a doctor, lives in Cairo. This is correct. The wrong one is Hatim uncle, who he is a doctor, lives in Cairo. How can we add who and the pronoun it replaces at the same time? We cannot add the relative pronoun and the pronoun which it is replaced by the relative pronoun at the same time. So be careful and pay attention to these mistakes. Now it's time for practice. The exercise says the relative clauses in these sentences give necessary information. Complete the sentence with who or which as a beginning. Number one is done for you, so let's not waste time. Number two, a charity activist is someone campaigns for change in the world. Of course, would be is someone who campaigns. Campaigns here is a verb, by the way. Number three, we are a charity which campaigns for equal opportunities for disabled people. Number four, this is the lift. Lift means elevator, which can take you up to the fourth floor. Number five, powerlifting is a sport which is popular in Egypt. Number six, I'm a person who wants to make a real difference in the world. Now, another exercise, another sort of question which says, underline the correct word in each sentence. Number one is done for you. Number two, the winner bike was an unusual design, won a medal. The answer is the winner whose bike, because there is a relation between the winner and the bike. It's a possessive relationship, so we use whose bike. C, the girl who spoke to me turned out to be in my class. D, the museum, which was in a beautiful building, was closed. E, a policewoman who or that we asked told us how to get there. The boy whose house I was staying at was an old friend. The last person whose pen I borrowed didn't get it back. Another sort of exercise. In this exercise, we are asked to join the two sentences using the relative pronoun which is given here. Number B, let's start with B. A boy's bike was taken, he visited the police station. So the answer is, the boy whose bike was taken visited the police station. The boy, we're going to remove the apostrophe S of the possession. The boy whose bike was taken visited the police station. Let's move to C. A friend met me at the airport. He carried my suitcase. The friend who met me at the airport carried my suitcase. D. Tom cooked a meal. It was delicious. The meal that Tom cooked was delicious. The meal that Tom cooked was delicious. E. A friend is staying with me. She comes from Paris. The friend who is staying with me comes from Paris. The friend who is staying with me comes from Paris. I found a man's wallet. He gave me a reward. The man whose wallet I found gave me a reward. The man whose wallet I found gave me a reward. I got to a shop in the center. It is cheaper. The center that I got to is cheaper. Sorry, the shop that I got to in the center is cheaper. And now we have finished our session, and I wish you a very nice day. But please pay attention to the writing, which will be continued in another session. And wish you a very nice day. It's about writing an email, and we have tackled this question before, but next time I'm going to discuss how to write an email together.